Welcome back to the 10 Adventures podcast. I'm excited to talk about one of the world's great pilgrimages today, the wonderful Via Francigena. This long-distance walking route starts in Canterbury in southern England and ends at the Vatican in Rome. Today we're going to talk about the most popular section that starts in Lucca, walks through the extraordinary Tuscany and Lazio, and finishes in Rome. And here to talk about the Via Francigena is Kristy and Annette, better known as the Wonder Woman. They have an engaging YouTube channel about the explorations they've done since they decided to retire a decade ago to seek adventure and explore the world, often from their RV. Hi, Kristy and Annette. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you.
Before we talk about the Via Francigena, I want to talk a bit about your lifestyle because it seems to me like a really incredible way to live, exploring the world, having the ability to go from incredible outdoor place to incredible outdoor place. Can you maybe share how you got to this point of in your life where you have this great lifestyle?
Yeah, we actually got here. The initial push to do this was when we went to a financial planner, and they were talking about how we would need to live to retire. They say, well, if you want to maintain the lifestyle you have, you need to do X, Y, and Z, right? And so we're like, oh, that does not sound good to us. So at that point, we were like, well, what if we don't want to just keep doing what we're doing, but we want to have something really alternative? And that's kind of how we started on looking for a different path, a different way to do our life.
Yeah, and we wanted to, we've been physically active our whole lives, and we love to backpack, and, we're always squeezing it in between our work. So we wanted to do some really difficult, hard hiking while we still can. So that motivated us too, that we wanted to get out while we physically can still do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so we went right from the financial planner. We were meeting some friends over at a bookstore restaurant place, and they have used books. And on the shelf right behind us, as we sat down, was this book, and the title was How to Die Broke. And so I pulled it off, and I was like, oh, we might be good at this. And the first line of the book is quit your job. And so we started talking about how, maybe we should do something now, So
yeah, sometimes you just kind of go with what society tells you to do. You get educated, you pay off your debts, you buy a house, you do. And we started thinking differently, like, why are we doing that? I mean, we could do something totally different.
Yeah.
So we decided to sell. At that point, we made a 5-year plan to sell everything we own, except our fun toys like our backpacks and our kayaks and things like that. And we decided to retire and just go live a completely different life. And it's been great. It just had to change our mindset a little bit, but it's been awesome.
Yeah.
What was the biggest change in mindset for you?
I think just realizing there's another way to do things. Like, you just don't have to follow the script that you're told to do. You just, we realized that, we buy a house, and then you furnish the house, and then you have to upkeep the house, and you're working in the yard all the time. We thought, gosh, if we weren't doing this, we could be out hiking mountains and traveling the world. And we want to do something different. We want to, I think too, we retired when we loved our jobs. So we weren't like sick of working or anything like that, but we just feel like there's another chapter to your life. Like, it's not all who you are as your job. There's a way to recreate ourselves and write a new chapter.
Yeah, like we talked about it, like there's a different version of each of us. There's different versions of us. And when you're in your job, you're so in it that's the version of yourself that you're living. And you don't even think about it until you're like start pushing at the edges. So when we started to question that we were like, oh, wow, we could do this. So we started looking at the RV angle. We had never RV. We knew nothing. Like, we were complete novices.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a 5-year plan. We said, we'll make a 5-year plan, and we'll figure out how to do this and just go explore.
And we really kind of, as we looked at ourselves and kind of thought about things, we value time more than money. And we want it, and experiences. We want, by the time it's time for us to leave and end our lives, we want to look back and make sure we've experienced as much as we can. Not that we have a ton of money or a ton of stuff. We want experiences. And then we just realize that's what we value more. That's what we need to do, and kind of create our lives And we had no idea how great it was going to be.
Right. So,
Really.
so the idea of dying broke is to look at what you have and to use that as a resource and actually do things while you're able to do things. Like 5 years from now, we might not be able to, hike the Pacific Crest Trail, but this year we could hike the Pacific Crest Trail. So we're like, okay, well, let's do that.
I really love this ethos and the idea of living a different version of your life. And it's true. So often we unknowingly go along a path in our life, and it's only, it happened for me when I turned 40, but I meet people who they don't ever figure it out. They realize that when they're 70 and they can't kind of follow their life, and it's really inspirational. I haven't been able to do what you've done, but to be able to pursue this kind of dream life, it's really, really inspirational to hear that, not only have we done it, but it actually is better than you'd expected.
Totally. And we had no idea. We created journeys for ourselves, like just to step out on these journeys and let it kind of unfold. And the people, we knew we loved the outdoors and we could be out there on those long distance hikes for a long time. We knew that. But we didn't know if our bodies could hold up. We found out we got stronger and stronger. But we have met so many people along our journeys that I could not even predict. I mean, just amazing connecting. We've connected with so many people that we stay in touch with all over the world. I mean, we will have people as we're out there in different parts of the world that will say, hey, come and stay with us. We want to host you. And I mean, we do it. We do it because it's a gift to learn about people. They feel like they know us, but we don't know them at all. But we sit. There was a couple in Nova Scotia that brought us into their home, and it was like a gift to get to know them. It was just fabulous. And then not only that, but our trip became better because they knew everything and so much information that they gave us as we were moving on over there exploring. But
right, and they shared their joy of their particular this is what we like about this area. Here, let us take you over to this restaurant. We love this place. It was fun. It was just fun that they had that joy of, let's share this with you.
Yeah.
Because you share your life in these videos with us. Let us share this with you.
It's just amazing. That's just been just a gift.
Yeah. And just experiences like that have been a gift. Yeah.
I was reading an article from a few years, I think it was pre-pandemic, about the two of you. And it talked about, you mentioned you really wanted to push yourself outside your comfort zone. And I thought that was really interesting. What was, I think all of us want to do that, but it seemed like it was a real priority in pursuing this life. Can you maybe talk a little bit about why pushing your comfort zone was so important when you embarked on this new kind of way to live?
We kind of noticed that when people retire, their world kind of shrinks. Where we wanted to expand our lives. And we figured we could do that through new experiences, meeting new people. We feel like it's good to use your brain. I mean, we're out there. Nothing's routine or monotonous to us. We want to be uncomfortable. We want to be unpredictable because it keeps us thinking. And so part of, when you're aging, you start trying to figure out how to keep yourself sharp, So our lifestyle, we're always in a new place. We have to research where we're going. We have no idea. You know how when you live in a city, you just know right where you don't even have to think. Where we have to think all the time. We are planning, we're researching. We try to learn some languages when we travel, at least a little bit. We just like the challenge of doing, just kind of pushing us in areas where we just wouldn't if we were just sitting at home.
And I'm a big fan of Pema Chodron, the American Buddhist nun who, she writes books all the time. And she talks about how change doesn't happen when you're comfortable. Change only happens when you're uncomfortable. So you have to push yourself into that discomfort to experience change,
to grow,
to move, your beliefs, what you're thinking or whatever. You have to move into that uncomfortable zone so that you're able to open up and change.
And we out here on these long distance trails have been hungry, cold, hot, tired, in pain. We've made ourselves vulnerable where we need people because we need help. we need people coming, in all our lives, people would, we would always be like, no, we're fine. Do you need help? No, we're good. We're like, yes, we need help. We need food. So that was pushing ourselves, making ourselves vulnerable and needing people while we're out there, because you're out there for 6 months. We'll be on a trail, sleeping in our tent, hiking thousands of miles, and you come out and you're hungry and you need a ride. It's just been really fun to just put ourselves in those situations and just kind of grow and connect with people and ourselves.
I could ask like 20 more questions about this. I'm so fascinated, but I'm going to leave that for the end. I want to talk a little bit about the Via Francigena. I've been told I always say it wrong, so excuse me if I'm, if some of you listeners that say you're saying the word wrong. I guess the first question, do you know the right way to say Via Francigena? Because
Francigena is what we say. Via Francigena is what
we don't know.
That's the right way. That's the right way.
That might be the right way. That's what we were told.
Francigena? Did you say it? Francigena?
Yeah, Francigena.
Perfect. I knew I was saying it wrong, but I couldn't remember how to say it. So you walked it in 2023. Can you describe what attracted you to this specific walk?
So originally, we went to Europe with the idea that we wanted to hike the Slovene Mountain Trail. And so we blocked out the time for that. And then we said, well, as long as we're over there, we'll stay longer. We can look at some other stuff. So I have a friend who's an Italophile, and she's like, oh, look at the Via Francigena. She does it on her bike. So we looked at it, and Kristy, looked at it and said, I'll get this book. And she goes, yeah, we can do this. It's 3 weeks, Lucca to Rome. We'll put it together. So that's how we came to do it.
Yeah. We had 3 weeks to spend in Italy, and we like being on foot. We really like traveling on foot. So we were like, how can we get over there, see and experience Italy while we're on foot? And we found out the Francigena we would be able to do, Lucca to Rome. Mm-hmm. And we just, they have a lot of info. The Francigena actually has an app that you can just download for free, and it tells you all the information about the trail, how many miles each day, everything about the city, where to stay. It was easy to use. And then we use a guidebook.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of planned our own trip and started in Lucca and just started walking. You walk on the Caminos, you walk roads, there's dirt roads, there's a little bit of path.
Cobblestone, which although you think it might be nice, it's actually kind of hard to walk on cobblestones. It's like, well, a little bit of that, and you're like, okay, that's good.
And they have a whole, just like all the Caminos over there, it's set up with, you have hostels you can stay in. You could stay in churches. We stayed, Annette used bookings a lot and found some great, the Francigena in Italy goes from walled city to walled city, those old walled cities, which were just spectacular. We just don't have that here in the U.S. I mean.
And we have never done that before. We had no. So it was great for us. We're like, oh, wow, like, check out this town. I mean,
mm-hmm.
You have to, every time at the end of a day, when you're getting to your town, you have to climb up to it because they're all kind of on a hilltop.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have the wall around them, and they have the narrow little streets and the little tiny, it was great. We were having so much fun.
And we tried to get a room within that walled city just because it was so, just old history, and it was just affordable. Really, it was easy. And, really nice people along the way helping you out, staying in these hostels.
And people do it different ways. Some people always do hotels, or you can do a refugio, or you can do where you stay like in a church kind of thing. That's an option. And then we used bookings, and it was great. We were really successful with it. If there's two of you, it's just as cheap to get a room on bookings and do that as it is to pay for two people to stay like at the hostel kind of thing. Although some of them are donation, or some of them are kind of quote unquote free, but we did everything. We mixed it all up and tried everything.
It's great.
We stayed in this cloistered, with these cloistered nuns, where it was really cool. So you have to first find it. You find the store, you're going down this alleyway, and you go and you get to the door, and there's a speaker, and you say, we're walking to, Francigena. And so they open the door, and you only get to have contact with one nun because everybody else is cloistered. and so she lets you in and sets you up at this room, and then you eat. I thought we were going to eat with them, but you only eat with the other people who are staying like us. It was amazing.
It was great. It was a great experience. And
when you go out, you have to come back when you hit the thing and you say Pellegrino in La Casa or something. I don't remember now, but it was like, oh, this is cool.
Code word.
We have to have a code.
But that was our first Camino. That would be considered a Camino. We like the mountain hiking better. The Slovenia was great because we walked through 3 Alp ranges, stayed in huts. It was challenging. It was like you're in the mountains. We loved that. And we know we're trying to get all of those hard hikes in while we physically can. And we figure we can maybe do some Caminos in our 80s, maybe. 80s and 90s, maybe.
Or, at least, for sure, like when we're 75, I think I could do a Camino at 75 because it's a different kind of hiking. It's much more predictable than when you're mountain hiking, So.
But it was awesome.
It was fun. We had so much fun.
So it's interesting you mentioned the difference between mountain hiking and a Camino. I always think like the Camino is the gateway drug into these long, mountain hikes. And usually people start with a Camino and then they start going into the mountains and wanting to do harder ones. Doing it kind of as someone who's done all the hard mountain stuff, how did you find going on the Via Francigena? Like, was it kind of a letdown not having these, difficult days, the super dramatic scenery, or was it still a really rewarding experience?
It was a rewarding experience for sure. I mean, we're over in Italy. I mean, we're experiencing Italy and we're on foot, so we're still walking the thing that we love to do. It was totally rewarding.
Yeah, and just like anything that we do, we try and just be really present in that. We're doing this. Let's be in it and do it. So we enjoyed it to the max. I mean, we walked around every single one of those little towns and checked out the cathedral, the this, the that, the high point. We talked to different people. We went to the little coffee bars and, had an espresso. We were just like, oh, this is completely different. I mean, there's certain, it's not that it was necessarily easy. It's not easy. It's just easier, so, but I
plus we're just trying to experience people and different cultures and however we can do that. We just want to experience different places. And so whatever we're doing, we love.
Yeah. And you do get to walk through the vineyards and
different food. I love it.
We were there at a perfect time. There were fresh figs hanging on the trees, the ones that are they're on the main walkway. So you're not stealing from someone. I was in heaven. I was like, oh my gosh, I love figs. And they're warm by the sun. I was like, oh, this is great. So you kind of get that. It's kind of a agricultural, it was really different. I mean, it's different than when you're, climbing up rock faces and crossing streams and doing that kind of thing.
So I want to talk a bit about that because you two have done some incredible through hikes. Can you maybe just describe some of the other, I know you just got off the Arizona Trail. You talked about the Slovenian Mountain Trail. I know you've done some other big walks. Maybe just talk about some of these, great through hikes you've done.
Yeah, we backpacked for years when we were working and we'd have a vacation. We would pretty much backpack, but we wanted to do long distance trails. And our first one was the Colorado Trail, which is 500 miles, because we're from Colorado. And then we did the Oregon coast, which is about 425 miles. But in 2019, there's what's considered the Triple Crown here in the U.S. of long-distance hiking, which is the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. So we did all 3 of those. We started out in 2019 doing the Appalachian Trail, and it's 2,200 miles long from Georgia to Maine. And again, we knew we loved being out there, and we could do it. We just didn't know how our bodies would hold up. But we completed that in 6 months. Took us 6 months, 9 days to complete that trail, and it was just amazing. So then COVID hit. We were planning on going to Europe after in 2020, and COVID hit. So that plan was canceled. So we thought, well, let's just go out and hike. We can get away from people. And so we hiked the Continental Divide Trail. We kind of just started in the border of Colorado and Wyoming and started walking north towards Canada.
Because we were by the time we had made all the changes, it was June. So we're like, okay, well, it's too hot to start in the desert. If we're going to do it, we're going to have to flip it.
So we started midway and we thought, well, let's just walk and see what happens. So we walk, we get all the way up there, and then we flip around. We start Colorado-Wyoming border and go south to Mexico. So that's a 3,000-mile hike. It took us 6 months. We did it. And then the next year we did the PCT, which is a 2,600-mile hike. It took us another 6 months, 5.5 or whatever. I'm telling you, it's just awesome. It was just awesome. And it's amazing to me that there's a footpath that goes from Canada to Mexico.
You do kind of get caught up in that. Like, oh man, this is wild. You can actually walk from Mexico to Canada.
And you're out this path. And you're in the wilderness. I mean, you are in Wyoming. There, when we started in Wyoming, we went 3 weeks on the trail without seeing another hiker. We met one lone man, and we still stay connected to him today. He was like, "Hey, we were all excited to see a living person out there because you were out there. There's no."
And it was COVID, and there were some extenuating circumstance, but it was pretty wild. Now we would see people when we resupplied because you have to go to the little towns and resupply. But as soon as we got back on the trail, we were like, "Are we the only people out here?" I mean, it was pretty crazy.
I mean, you're out there with grizzly bears and. Black bear, you were out moose living out there. It was just, it was amazing.
It was fun. It's really, it's hard, what we call hard fun. It's hard fun.
I mean, we were getting water out of cow tanks in New Mexico because there's no water running down there. And we would find cow tanks and and cows would be drinking out of them half the time. And you'd just be filtering water out of
push them. You say, hey. It's on your app though. They have amazing apps for these through hikes now. What's it called now?
Far Out.
It used to be called Gut Hook. Anyway, so you download the electronic map for whatever through hike you want to do, and it has just this abundant information, and it has comments in real time. So if somebody's a day ahead of you and they say, "Oh, I stopped at this cow tank and it was great," then you're like, "Oh, there's water at that cow tank. We'll go there," or whatever.
A lot of people dream of doing these types of trips, and then they retire and they're 65 and they say, "I'm too old. I can't do it." And there's a big trail here in Canada called the Great Divide Trail.
Yes.
And if you go on it, it's pretty young. Like, lots of, I've done sections in my 40s and I feel like, oh, I'm in the older area on the 40s. And so for someone who's retired and thinking I can't do the Continental Divide Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail, what would be your advice to people who dream of it but maybe are worried they can't do it?
They can do it. You do it different than the young people. I mean, we would. It took us 6 months to complete a trail where the young people finished in 4. A lot of times they're in a hurry. They're getting back to school or, whatever. But they do 40 miles a day, some of them. We didn't do that. We had a formula that worked for us. And I think that you have to slowly build your body. We took time off. We're young people. They call it 0 days. I'm taking a 0 day. They'd go a month without taking a day off. We took a day off every week.
So we have this formula where we hike 2 hours at a time. So we get up, we hike for 2 hours, we take a break, and then we hike for another 2 hours, we take lunch, and then 2 hours and a break, and then 2 hours, and we should be at camp. And we do the 2 hour thing, even if we go over like our, whatever we set for our miles, 15 or whatever. But you kind of do it almost like on that schedule to support yourself, really. Like when you start out, you're like, okay, I can do anything for 2 hours. I can do this. And you keep doing that and just build on it.
There's a lot of overuse injuries for all people, really, on those trails. If they take off just going, people get a lot of overuse injuries. And older people sometimes want to stay up with the younger people. You connect with people. But we just started slow and built up during the trail. And we would do 20 miles a day. We would do 24 miles a day. But we would, not every day. But we were able to. We got stronger and stronger.
Yeah, we get to camp early, and we stop. We're like, okay, that's good enough for today, and we'll, so we're getting a lot of rest.
So we found a formula that worked for us. And so I think that there are ways that older people could do it. And we see a lot of older people out there. We would see the two extremes, the real young people that are between, that are kind of between college and work, or kind of in college. And then we'd see the older people. And I mean, some older people out there just really.
And we are totally ordinary. We are not exceptional people. We're not like super athletes. We weren't great trail runners. We weren't any of this. We're totally ordinary people. And we're just like, oh, let's just try and do this. And a lot of it is just keeping your mental game up, good self-talk. And
we stretch. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff we have to do to keep our bodies going, though. I mean, we do stretch and do feet exercises. And
yeah. And just pay attention to you have to pay attention to yourself. You have to really be present with yourself and be like, okay, what's going on?
And you don't have to do the whole thing at once. A lot of people do the section hikes, which I think is a great way to do it. They'll go out and do parts of it. And for us, the through hike, once we got in shape, we wanted to keep going. We didn't want to start over every year. But some people will just pick a section and slowly get the trail done.
And it sounds like you've done a fair amount of hiking. When you do a through hike, though, it's like you enter into this parallel universe. And so that there's like the world, and then there's the world that you're in as you're on this trail having this experience. And all the people on this trail are having this experience, and the support people and the trail angels and all this, they're all part of this parallel world. It's not like the regular world. So you kind of get into it and you're like, oh, this is cool. You're moving forward with that.
Yeah. And it's like your tribe. So we meet 18-year-old kids out there, and, that might have dropped out of high school to the rocket scientist who's now 75, and you're all the same, and you all connect. It's like an amazing thing. You're talking about the trail. I mean, it doesn't matter. Right. None of that matters. I mean, we were sitting and eating lunch, and these three young kids, and I mean young, sat down and talked to us for 30 minutes just about their lives and what.
Yeah. You mind if we hang out with you for a while? We're like, no, great. And in that way, it's like a great opportunity to open yourself up to different people. There's really very little judgment in a through hike of people. You can have some guy that looks like the total mountain man, crazy, wild, dirty, to somebody whose hiking clothes look like they may have ironed them that morning. I don't know, but they're all out there
doing the same thing,
and everybody's okay. You're just like, oh, that's cool.
It's great.
It is one of the best parts is that, it's really hard to characterize who loves these outdoor activities, because it's just so diverse. And it's if you look at marketing, it's not like, oh, it's an age or an income or anything. It's like, it's kind of just, and if you meet another person that likes it, it's like, oh, we all have the same, the same things in common, which is okay. You can just talk to them because it's like, oh yeah, we can talk about stuff. And whether or not you're a mailman or a nuclear physicist, it's all kind of like, oh yeah, we understand life and the joy of just the simplicity of being on trail day after day.
Yeah. And everybody's happy. A lot of times, most people are happy with they're out there.
Yeah. You're happy in your misery often, because it is pretty miserable. I have to say, you get to experience some real misery, but you're glad about it.
Yeah.
You've explored a ton of the U.S. and you've seen, more than probably almost anybody through your through hikes and just, going around in your RV. Can you maybe share if there are a few places that, you keep coming back to again and again that are just kind of out of this world for people who maybe haven't spent a lot of time exploring the U.S. and aren't aware of just how diverse it is in terms of these wonderful outdoor areas?
Yeah, we wanted to see all the national parks and national monuments when we are rolling around out there. So we've done a lot of that. But so a lot of times we're moving forward because there's always something we hardly ever go back just because we're always trying to see something we haven't seen. But we spend a lot of time in Colorado and Arizona.
Arizona, because when you are in an RV, when that's actually your living situation, it is a lot easier to find somewhere warmer in the winter than to try and be in Calgary in your trailer would be hard. So
it would be terrible.
So,
we meet a lot of Canadians.
We love Glacier. We have some favorite parks. We love Glacier. We love Yellowstone and the Tetons, but we loved the Sierra, that whole when you're in the Sierra, it is a magical experience.
That's a place I could go back and back. We love the western part of the United States. We're Westerners. We're from the West, and we love the western part of the U.S. And we love the Southwest down in Arizona
and that
the desert,
that's
and the
like
mountains.
You realize what you like about it. You know, like we like the feel of the air, and we like you being at altitude. You know, we like being in the Alpine all the time, and we like
The drier climate.
the fewer bugs. Well, there's a lot of things that we like about it, but you don't know that about yourself till you go and hike some East Coast trails or hike, some different, hike in the South, where you're down there and you're like, oh, this is a swamp. Although that was really fun in the kayaks. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Those cypress swamps were like amazing. So we loved Dry Tortugas National Park that you have to take a boat to get down
Off
there.
of Key West,
Off
of
of Key
Florida.
West, then you can spend a few nights camping over there. And we still have some places that we know we're going to love that we haven't been. But when you start going down, like we have, you guys probably have them too. National Scenic Rivers, National Seashore, all of those places are amazing. And when you go to them, you're like, I can't believe we have this. That you can go and drop your kayak in and pay somebody $25 to drive your truck way to the end, and you can stay in the river all day.
We don't have that. Because that's always that pain. It's like, oh, we need to get 2 cars with roof racks and, put the canoe in here, then drive, on Mountain Road and pick. Like, you guys have it figured out if you have a service that does that for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
Those little towns on those national scenic rivers have it all going on. I mean, they know exactly what you want to do. They're like, oh, yeah, sure. We'll do this,
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. I mean, I think part of it is just, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to know what you're doing. You just kind of go out there and you're like, oh, let's try this, let's see what this is like. And put yourself out there and, and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to have a great time. You might have a hard experience, but it's all great.
And there's so much beauty. And when we're out there running into people, it gives us hope in humanity. I'm just going to tell you, because sometimes you're not feeling too good about the world. But boy, then we're out there and we're meeting people, and it's like, wow, there's amazing, amazing people out here. And that has just been a gift. Just a gift.
Yeah.
You have this super engaging YouTube channel. And I'm wondering, what was the starting point to say, oh yeah, we want to document what we're doing and share it with the world? Was that part of this initial decision to, commit to, this van, not van life, RV life, or did it come later?
We kind of started documenting as a way of kind of my mom seeing what we're doing and some of our friends when we were out there. But we also felt like, maybe that we could motivate older people to retire and create their lives too, because that's kind of what we were doing. And we were like, we want...
I think we were shocked at how much you can do, even though we, 60 or whatever I was at the time, where they're like, wow, there's a lot that we can still do. So we started trying to talk to older women, older people in general about, you can do some stuff,
Yeah. And we love
that message.
We love our public lands that we have, and we want to preserve those. So we want people to fall in love with those and try to keep those. So I wanted people to see the beauty, to see what's available out there, and to realize just how lucky we are to have those lands that we have. So part of it was just kind of, and when we started doing the Appalachian Trail, we thought, well, we're older, let's just kind of do videos of it. And we didn't know people were that into watching hiking videos. But as soon as we started the Appalachian Trail, we started getting notes from people going, hey, we want to help you when you get here, we'll help you, we'll pick you up.
If you make it to Pennsylvania, we'll pick you up and give you a great meal.
It's just, so then we were like, wow, this is like better than we thought, because we're meeting all these people. This is amazing. We still stay in touch with them today. And that's been our journey all along, is it's just opened a door. Like, we just stepped out there, and what has unfolded has just been amazing. So now I can't tell you how amazing it is to get comments from people saying, hey, I got a bike. I'm out biking now. Hey, I'm walking now. Thanks for showing us you can do more, or we've met people on the trail. The guy said, hey, my mom is, 78 years old and she just got a bike and she
loves your channel.
Yeah.
We went by a guy on the Pacific Crest Trail that recognized us, and he says to Kristy, you said, get out there. He said, I retired that week. I was like, that's amazing.
And then he's hiking. So people, some people say, hey, I joined the gym and I'm moving more than I ever have. I mean, so when you hear that people are out there, there was a couple we met that,
oh yeah,
on the Arizona Trail.
These people were amazing.
Yeah, he, a farmer, and they ended up retiring and through hiking, and they have a van, and they're just so happy. So, I mean, we're putting stuff out there, but we just didn't know it would have that big of an impact on people. That people are actually like changing their lives out there doing it.
Yeah, she said when we came walking up, I've been waiting 4 days for you guys to get here so I can talk to you. Yeah. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's great. It makes our day to know that people are out there, out in nature, out creating a life like you're in charge of your life. We're not victims. We're not like sitting around where life's running us. We're running it.
And I think that ties into, like, at the end of your videos, you have this really powerful series of messages. And, you never see YouTube videos that have that, which I thought is really, really interesting. And it was about taking control of your life and having confidence. And I wonder, was the genesis of getting those messages just to be really clear for people who are watching to, like, consider changing your life, consider doing something different? And do you hear people say, holy crow, like that message specifically connected with me and I'm a different person now?
Yeah, people will say, when I'm out there, I just think of those messages over and over. When I'm climbing a mountain, or, I just think about you guys. I listen to those messages. That I think it's basically, just saying, do it. Don't think too much, just do it. Uh-oh, something kind of clicked there. But that time, this is our thought. We really feel like this, that life is a gift. It is short. And you need to take a hold of it and live it while you have it. Like, don't mess around. You can create joy in your life. You can create, and it might not be what we do, but the message is you can do it. Like really understand what a gift you have and nurture it and create it and be grateful, and don't get caught up in the little petty things. And, it's just, I just feel like in my heart and soul that I have such a gift to be alive. It's such a gift every single day. And I know my time is ticking, and that we just are going to live it up until we can't do it anymore. And it changes. I mean, we're doing these big hikes now, but we might not be able to always do that, but we'll do something else. I mean, we'll find something else we love. I mean, we're just going to, until we die. I mean, we just feel like we're going to create and write our story.
And make those connections with people. We always say that not very much happens if you're sitting on your couch. I mean, it's kind of a controlled environment. But when you get out, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're just walking at the city park or whatever, you're going to meet people. You're going to meet that super cute dog. You're going to have a conversation. It can be something really simple, but seek those connections with other people, because that's really what gives us meaning to our lives is, the experiences and sharing those experiences.
Yeah, but I always say, I think one thing that I've grown, in my life is I believe I can handle whatever comes my way. And in that, it allows me the ability to open myself to the world, because I believe I can handle whatever that is, good or bad. And so there is Annette and I make a plan for a journey that we're going to take, but it's just an outline. Because then we just open ourselves to it. We step into it and just open to whatever happens and let it unfold. Because even in hiking, and we feel like, adventure is good because it's exciting and you're out exploring and there's adventure and you don't know what's going to happen and you're just opening yourself to kind of see what unfolds. But there's joy in knowing that you can change your. So if we say, hey, today let's hike 20 miles and we'll make it to this campsite, there's been many times that's just a structure to get us moving forward. If something comes along which has happened, where a person comes and says, hey, I'd like you to come to our house and we'd like to host you. We'll be like, okay. And so we totally change our plan. So we open ourselves to what comes, because the gift of that is so much greater than making that 20 miles at the end of that day. I mean, there's just something so freeing and impactful about being able to just open yourself to the world. So we try to put ourselves out there somewhere where we can do that. And these journeys have given us the opportunity to just step out there and see what happens.
That was so beautifully said. I feel like I feel like it was a TED Talk. It was just like there's so much wisdom and insight into life, and just finding what your purpose is and then doing that. And most of us, our purpose, we think, is to make money and have a job and to have a big house. But for a lot of us, that actually isn't what motivates us. And the sooner people can realize that, I think it just brings so much happiness. And what comes through in your videos and even today is just this sense of joy and wonder, which, it's fun. I look at a lot of my childhood friends and they've lost this sense of wonder and joy. And it's just so inspiring to see this desire to explore and experience the world into your 60s is still there. And it seems to me like what you're saying, it's even growing.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
is kind of what, as society, we don't expect that people
Right.
are going to become more engaged and more interested and more active.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, you're de-aging as you retire instead of aging.
Well, and when we were talking before about when we had our house and you're just kind of following the script that society, aging is the same way. You retire, you're just going downhill. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. Rewrite the script. You can retire and create and write a whole new story, and it can be fabulous. And why not? I mean, at some point we're all going to. We kind of embrace the fact that we're going to die to make us live. You know what I mean? We look at that when we look at the continuum of where we are from when we're born to when we die. We're on this other end over here. We know we're getting to this end. It's not scary, but it's motivating to say we need to live while we have it. And so we're not buying into the societal scripts. We're writing our own at this point. We're going to write our own ending.
So you've done so much, and I always like knowing what's on people's bucket list. What trips or what hikes or through hikes are you thinking about for the next couple of years that you think, oh, I'd love to do? I'd love to get on this trail.
Well, we want to go to Alaska, so that's out there, but we haven't really made very solid plans around it. We really enjoyed hiking in Europe. We had fun with that. We enjoyed meeting people from different countries, and that was fun. So there's a trail in Germany called the Dreamway Trail that several people told us about when we were over there. So we're kind of looking at that, and
that might be our next.
We might
one.
We might do that, and
maybe South America. We kind of wanted, like this year, we're gonna do a series of backpacking trips here. We're gonna be in Wyoming. We're going to be in the Sierras in California. We're going to be maybe Lake Tahoe, Yosemite. We're going to do a series. We're just going to be in our truck driving and doing a series of backpacking trips. So that's our fall for this year. But we're thinking next year we might do the Dreamway Trail from Germany to Venice.
from Munich
to Venice. Because it goes over the Alps and some things like that, and the Dolomites.
We haven't been to South America. And we haven't been to Asia, any Asian countries. So we're like, oh, maybe that we should do that, or maybe that would be fun. But
we've heard about a great bike ride in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We're just whatever. It's so many things to do. It's hard to prioritize them.
Yeah, some things, and so you kind of have to believe in the natural flow of things. That things kind of come to you, and you're like, oh yeah,
and it feels right. We're like, oh yeah, we're doing that one.
Yeah. Like people will talk about how sometimes they feel bad. Like they'll talk about how they spent, 2 years planning their Camino. And I'm like, oh my God, we don't do that. We're like, oh, this will work right here. Let's do this. And then we do it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
We don't. We plan as we go. Like I said, we set a structure and then we plan as we go kind of thing.
And both are good. I mean, there's people who, when they go over there, they know everything. They know all about every church that they're going to walk through. They have all this historical background and detail, and what was going on at the time historically, which is great. I mean, that it totally enhances their experience. It's just we're much more on the cuff.
I know, we like that. It's like adventurous, you know. You just step out there and figure it out as you go. We love that. Like, we have no idea where we're going to sleep that night. And there's something about that. Uncomfortable, not knowing, believing you're going to be okay. We like that part of it.
This has been so great to chat with both of you. I want to say thanks for coming on the podcast. It was just, super insightful just to hear your approach to life. So Kristy and Annette, thank you so much for taking your time.
Yeah, thank you for
Really
having
enjoyed
us.
it. Thank
So
you.
fun.
And you have this great YouTube channel, Wonder Woman. Where can people find you if they want to find you outside of that? Where can they find you?
We have a Facebook page, which is Wonder Women /RVsters. We have Instagram, which is Wonder Women Kristy and Annette, same as the YouTube. And I do a little bit of TikTok, but not a lot. Wonder Women Kristy, I think that one's under.
I think most people find us on YouTube on the Wonder Women Kristy and Annette. I think that's where most people start.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put links in the show notes, and definitely, people, if you're listening, it's fun, and you guys are super engaging in person and on YouTube. Your episodes are really fun. It's just like an honest take on living this cool life. So it's just been great to have you on. And with that, thanks for everyone for listening to this episode of the 10 Adventures podcast. We'll be back next week to explore the world and hear about more epic adventures. Start planning your own adventure by visiting us at 10adventures.com and listen to other episodes of the 10 Adventures podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you find your podcasts.